Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome into another episode of the Clemson Tiger pregame show here at the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Thank you again for joining us. It is Florida State week. We are excited to break down this matchup. But before we get into that, if you are not subscribed to the Clemson or to the Voice of College Football Clemson channel, please do so. Also, hit that notification bell. It will notify you every single time we go live. We go live at least twice a week on this channel. Once for the pregame show, which is right now 5:30 on Friday. And we go live after each and every Clemson game, and you get our live, raw reactions from myself and the rest of the panel here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. But with that said, without further ado, I am Tiger Paul Craven. I will bring on my two co-hosts. I got Jordan Bowman with me here today, and I also have DeAndre with me here today. Gentlemen, thank you again for joining me for another episode. And how you guys feeling on this fine Friday?
Great.
Feeling good. I'm excited. This is a game that I've been really excited. Been a while since we've been up to down to Tallahassee. So
yeah, Florida State week, right?
Should be a good one. Yeah, I look forward to this week every year.
Big week, right? The two programs that have most recently dominated or represented the ACC the most when it comes to ACC championships, when it comes to playoff appearances, national titles, all of the above, right? But before we get into the Florida State thing, I want to give a quick recap to all our fans for the BC week. So last week, Clemson's coming off of a 31-3 victory against Boston College. Our offense looked really sluggish in the first half, right? We scored that touchdown right before halftime to make it 10-3 going into half. Really sluggish start. It looked like we were going to get things put away pretty quickly on the first drive, but that did not come to fruition. Had some hiccups, had some issues. Whatever the case may be, the offense could not get on the same page in the first half. Second half was a different story. We kind of got it rolling, put some points on the board. Defense played lights out. Pass rush was great. Wish we would have got Dracovic on the ground a little bit more, but at the same time, the pass rush was good. The back end is starting to really gel. We got some young dudes back there that had to grow up pretty quickly due to a lot of injuries that some of the national media members don't want to talk about on the Clemson side of the ball. They just want to ridicule the back end of our defense without saying that we've dealt with a lot of injuries this season. Now, that's not an excuse. Injuries are injuries. Everybody deals with them, but it's worth a mention in my opinion. But great performance by the defense, kind of sluggish performance by the offense. So that kind of sets the stage for this Florida State week, right? 31-3 win. We'll leave that in the rearview mirror. We will now transition to the Florida State game. And before we dive into really the matchup, offense versus defense, players out, players in, whatever the case may be, we're going to go to our resident historian, which is DeAndre, and let him give us a little bit of history on this matchup between Clemson and Florida State. It's a long history. It's got a lot of good storylines with these two teams playing. So, DeAndre, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Okay. This is the 34th matchup between the two schools. They first started playing in 1970 before they Florida State joined the conference. The first matchup, Florida State won 38-13. The next matchup was at Clemson. Florida State won 43-7. 1976. We won 15-12. So the most famous game in this history, I think we all know, is the Fumbleroosa game. Florida State came down in 1988, beat Clemson 24-21. Deion Sanders returned a punt for a touchdown. After that, Florida State couldn't move the ball. So on their own 5-yard line, they ran a play called the Fumblerooski, and it was a fake punt to Lenore Butler. I think he played for the Bears a little bit, played safety. And he ran the touchdown from the 5-yard line to seal the game, 24-21. Now, if you talk to some Clemson fans about that game, they'll tell you that Florida State called a timeout they didn't have. So that's what upsets a lot of Clemson fans about that game. The next year, though, which nobody ever talks about, Clemson took one of the best teams, and that team probably should have won the national championship year, 1989, and beat the crap out of Florida State, 34-23. Kirtland was on that team. Today, Chester McGlockton happened to be like a freshman or something like that. But very interesting rivalry. For all those people, especially Florida State fans, let me tell you something. Y'all always say that y'all are a superior program to Clemson. That's not necessarily true. You look from 1976 when Bobby Bowden took over to 1992, we were equal. Look from 1980 to 1989, Florida State only has a 1 overall total win advantage over Clemson. That Clemson had 86 wins, and Florida State had 87. So when people say that, it wasn't as superior as you think it was. But in the 90s, Florida State took off from 92 to like 2000, and they came to Florida State that people like to know. Also, I would like to say this too. If you look at the last 20 years, Clemson has won 13 out of the 20 matchups, and we are currently on a 6-game winning streak. So, far as Florida State goes, saying that they're more superior than Clemson, we all got the same amount of national championships. I think you got 8 more draft picks than us. I mean, it's not as big a gap as you think it is. They're more like. I like to say this before I turn it back over to Craven. Mickey Andrews came out of Clemson. You can look at when Peak was there, when Clemson first started turning around in 1976. It was Mickey Andrews, who Bobby Bowden went and got, took him away from Peak and brought him down to Florida State. So we probably the cause for y'all winning a lot more than y'all are the cause for us winning. I heard one of the March contributors, Robert, say, if it wasn't for us, Clemson wouldn't be as good as they are. We were recruiting people out of Sunshine State way before Florida State. And the cause for Florida State downfall was probably LSU because they recruited a lot of Louisiana players. But I'm going to not go off on a rant. Let's get started with the preview. Oh, I don't know why it's a 3-point favorite. Why Clemson's only a 3-point favorite.
Yeah.
If you're a betting person, take the money.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that line. But before we get into the game, I do want to make a few comments on what DeAndre's talking about, and acknowledge some people here in the chat. So let me just list off the people in the chat real quick. Alakazam gets in first. Austin Wagner's in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Hunter Goatfro's in there. Web Security's in there. So all you guys, hey, thanks for joining us for another show. We appreciate you guys getting in. And we appreciate all the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us on the live shows, guys. It gets it out to more people, brings more people in so we can get more opinions, we can get more points of view, and we can have a better discussion here. So please do that. But with that, Austin Wagner gets in and says Dabo is coming back to Tallahassee and wants a refund for that last trip down in 2020. Yeah, I haven't heard that brought up as much as I thought it would be this week, honestly, because that was kind of a big thing when Dabo kind of went off on Florida State and their decision to kind of cancel the game at the last minute. But, I guess people have kind of let it go. Web Security gets in and said, according to FSU fans, Clemson did nothing before FSU joined the league. Never mind the 81 Natty, several other big bowl wins, and we didn't start beating them until 2015. Yeah, so a lot of delusion there on the Florida State side of the ball. Hey, this is a Clemson channel. Look, we're going to talk our trash against FSU. look, they've been a great program. They have a great history, but so does Clemson. And I heard Mark Rogers, Jason Priester, and the Florida State Jason. I don't know his. Yeah, I don't know his last name, but
they're both named Jason.
Yeah, Jason and Jason did a preview with Mark Rogers, and Florida State Jason was talking a little bit of trash about Dabo. That he's fake and whatnot, and I get it. If I was a competitor of Clemson, I'd hate Dabo Swinney too. But let's be honest, you hate him because he wins, not because he's a fake person.
Excuse me, but you also got to look at the fact Bobby Bowden and Dabo built their programs very similar. Both of them kept their assistant coaches around, and then on top of that, they both talk about faith and family. So they're very similar in both ways, and they all both from Alabama. So.
Yeah, I just look. I don't. There's no evidence out there that Dabo's a fake person. He's got numerous. I mean, majority of his staff is prior players, players that have played for him at Clemson, or people that have known him. Players from the NFL come back consistently to Clemson. So to say that, I remember a comment that really bothered me from that, and I won't get too much into this. I just had to mention it. But a comment that really bothered me from that preview was that Dabo only cares about his players when they're winning them games.
Yeah,
I don't think there's.
I heard that one.
I don't think there's any evidence behind that. We have several NFL players that come back for spring games. They come back every chance they get. There's numerous players on the staff that both played for Dabo and now are coaching for Dabo. So to say that he only cares about people when they're winning him games, it just don't match up. There's no evidence behind that. But I get it. You hate Dabo Swinney. Look, if Dabo Swinney coached for FSU and he was doing to Clemson what Clemson has done to FSU, I would hate Dabo Swinney too. So I get it. Don't get me wrong. But let's just be honest about the reason that you hate Dabo Swinney. You hate him because he's a winner and he's built Clemson into what they are. But if you guys got anything to add to that, go ahead. But if not, we will move on.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's I get the I get the hate and the and maybe hate's a strong word in some instances, but I get the criticisms, and Dabo's he's certainly not a perfect person, but
no, not at all. Nobody is.
But I don't know. It just seems like some of the accusations that people make about him are pretty heavy, more so than other you would expect from other coaches, and it's I don't think a lot of it is grounded. I mean, is he fake? I don't think so. I think Dabo is one of the more authentic and genuine coaches out there right now.
I think so too.
I don't even agree with everything he says, but I think he means every word. He means every word of it when he says it, and so that's the opposite of fake to me. And I see how his players respond and around him, and not just current players, but obviously former players. They always are around the program. It's Dabo preaches family, but it's not like but he puts it into practice as well. It's not like guys go off to the league and just disown Clemson or anything. There you have tons of former players that still come around the program. Some obviously some that come back to work for him. People that knew Dabo from other stops when he was at a graduate student at Alabama. Yep. And an assistant coach. Just he's a really connected, and he's impacted a lot of people, and I feel like people that criticize him don't really get to see that part very much if you're not familiar with the program. But I don't know. It's hard for me to it's hard for me to understand those kinds of accusations.
Yeah, I don't like the accusations about his integrity. Like, granted, we don't know Dabo. None of us sitting up here know Dabo as a person. I don't know him personally at all. I've never met the guy. I've never even spoken to the guy, handshake or anything. to be honest.
He gave me a high five once. That's
there you go. Hey, look at that. You're closer to him than the rest of us.
Yeah, that's about it.
But at the end of the day, we don't know him. And if something terrible was to come up about Dabo, I'd be like, okay, well, it is what it is. You never know what's going on behind the scenes, but all the evidence points to the contrary. And Web Security makes an interesting point. Would Tyler Venables actually stay with Clemson instead of going to Oklahoma if Dabo was fake? I don't think so.
And then also look at how he treated Turner. I'm sure we all was like, why is Turner in the game?
Right.
Like, even Skowski, and Boulware, there are plenty of guys that probably could have started over him. He's very loyal to his players, giving those seniors a chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Big Mac gets in, says, when he said Dabo was against name, image, and likeness, I left the show. Dabo has never said he was against name, image, and likeness. He said that name, image, and likeness should be managed and education.
Yeah, tied to education.
Yeah, it's always tied to education with Dabo. This is the last thing we'll address here. We're getting off into a tangent, and I'm glad we're addressing all this stuff because I know Clemson fans listening to the channel, much like me, heard that, and they wanted to speak out in defense of Dabo, and a lot of things that you will hear in the national media and other fan bases parrot it, that Dabo Swinney is against name, image, and likeness. That's not true. Clemson's literally building a facility to aid the players in name, image, and likeness. A whole new facility. They're building it right now, currently, as we speak.
The first of its kind, too.
It's being built. So that doesn't sound much like a coach that's against name, image, and likeness. But what Dabo Swinney has always been for is education. Because let's be honest, there's a very small percentage of college athletes, Division I or any of the others, regardless, there's a small percentage that are going to go to the NFL. And even those that go to the NFL, there's a small percentage that are actually going to make enough money that's going to change their lives. A lot of people are in and out of the NFL very quickly. So that education is important, and that networking that you do while you're at a college at Clemson is important with those alumni and those micro internships that you got with Paul Journey. Paul Journey's been a thing since Dabo Swinney became the coach at Clemson. So to say that he doesn't care about his players and he only cares about results on the field, one of the first things that Dabo Swinney ever did was create Paul Journey. So for anyone to say that, they're just not well versed in what Dabo Swinney is about and what he's done, and they're just parroting things from the national media, and it's really unfair. He's never been against name, image, and likeness. I think players should be able to, create a signing, a fan signing, and charge for it, or a football camp, or sell jerseys and get paid for it. That's all fine. But what name, image, and likeness has become in 2022 is a collective of millionaires coming together for a school and just paying for play. That's what it is right now. Right. And hopefully, something happens and it gets cleaned up and, we move forward. But right now, that's what name, image, and likeness is. It's simply pay for play. And much like Dabo Swinney told you before, that's what it was going to turn into without the proper regulations. And, that's what it is right now. So.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But moving on.
Yeah.
Let's get into let's switch gears back to this game and the Florida State game as a whole. Just a quick overview, Jordan, if you will. How do you feel heading into this game? It's a night game. It's 7:30. Doak Campbell Stadium, right? They're going to be rocking. I'm sure they have a sold-out crowd. I haven't looked it up, but I guarantee you they have a sold-out crowd. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. A lot of the Clemson starters, I don't know if anybody's been down to Florida State. At least most of the starters have not been down to Florida State, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm trying to think. Maybe – well, I mean, was J-Mac on the team then? I think he was, but I don't think he was starting. He wasn't starting in 2018. There's not a lot of guys.
I don't think we have
Xavier Thomas and KJ were
maybe a couple.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this Clemson team has not been down to Florida State with this kind of environment. And even those that have, Florida State was kind of down back then, right? Now they're kind of feeling themselves, although they're coming off of 2 straight losses. Kind of where's your feelings heading into this game as Clemson travels down to Tallahassee?
Yeah, I guess the thing I'm looking for is to maintain the kind of poise and focus that they showed in their previous games, especially the NC State game. This is a big environment. This is the toughest road environment that they've probably played this season. Obviously, at playing at Wake, and no offense to the Wake Forest, they're a great program, and the fans are cool, but they don't pack that stadium quite like the Noles do. And it's a lot louder. It's one of the toughest environments in football. So I think just going in there, with a business-like approach, and handling yourself accordingly is going to be huge in this game, because it's easy to let those kind of environments get to you, especially at the beginning of the game. If Clemson gets the ball first, you don't want to see the guy false start on the first play of the game, because they're going to be loud, they're going to be rowdy. So just being poised, and I think this team has shown the capability of that. I don't think this team is going to be intimidated by the moment. I think it's a good mix of talent and experience, with some youth sprinkled in. But it's I think this is going to be I think this team is prepared for it.
Yep, absolutely. I think this team is more than prepared for this environment. I don't think it's going to be very hard for Clemson to get up for a Florida State game in Tallahassee. I really don't. I know a lot of people may have been worried about kind of a letdown game, if you will, last week against Boston College, sandwiched in between, we go Wake Forest, NC State, then we go Boston College, and we're looking, maybe looking ahead a little bit to Florida State. I don't think there's going to be any issues with Clemson getting up for this game. I don't think that there's going to be any sort of letdown. They're going to be jacked up. They're going to be ready. The only question is will they handle the environment? How raucous will the environment be? And how quickly can they quiet the crowd, right? How much will the crowd become a factor in Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday night at 7:30 on ABC? Who knows? And that's yet to be seen. Was the kind of hiccup game last week, not necessarily with the Clemson team as a whole, but definitely with the Clemson offense against BC. Was that a blip on the radar, or was that kind of an issue being uncovered with the Clemson offense? I tend to think it was kind of a blip on the radar. They kind of, because they drove down really nicely on the first drive, and then kind of just stumbled the rest of the first half for the most part, and then kind of got it together in the second half. So I tend to think it's just a blip on the radar. I think they'll get back on schedule this week. FSU's defense is decent, right? They are first in the ACC, 14th nationally in yards per game for pass defense, right? So they've been really good against the pass. They're allowing 170 yards per game against the pass. But their run defense is 87th nationally, right? They're allowing 155 plus yards per game against the rush, which does not set up well against Clemson, right? We have rushed the ball pretty well this season. We have both Will Shipley, we got Phil Maffa, we got DJ that's running the ball pretty well. I think Clemson should definitely lean on the run to set up the pass when it comes to this game. If I was, making the game plan, that's exactly what I would do. I would lean on those big body tight ends to make some plays in the passing game. And I look for Will Shipley to have a big day on offense against this defense. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And it kind of goes back. If you watched, Florida State play against NC State last week, when, Devin Leary went out of the game, their backup quarterback threw one pass, and they really pounded the rock. They really had a lot of success running the ball against Florida State's front. They do have some injuries up front, and I think those are guys they won't be getting back this week. I think Fabian Lovett, they're probably their best interior pass rusher, is not playing in this game, and Robert Cooper, I think, was dinged up. I think he will play.
Isn't Ward out too? Their leading rusher, isn't Ward out?
Yeah. Okay. But on the defensive side of the ball, especially, and I think their star edge rusher, the guy they got out of the transfer portal this past offseason, Jared Verse, I don't believe he's 100%. He will definitely play in this game, but he's been limited the past couple of weeks. So I do think that Florida State is kind of soft up front right now. Their starting four when healthy is really good, but they don't have a lot of depth back there. So I look for Clemson to definitely lean on the run. Maybe we see more 21 personnel with Shipley and Maffa in the backfield. Maybe some 2 tight end sets, some heavy personnel to really just assist in the run game. I'd like to see stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah,
talking my language. I like it.
This Florida State defense, like you said, they don't give up a lot through the air. They are a bend but don't break defense, but they don't really, when a team gets into the red zone, they don't really finish. They don't really finish defensively that well. And obviously, Clemson's one of the best red zone offenses in the country right now. I believe they're 7th nationally in red zone touchdown to field goal ratio or something like that. Right. So. I think this team. I think Florida State is going to want to force Clemson to work the ball down the field, and I think Clemson is capable of doing that. And I think just leaning on the run and just taking what Florida State gives you, I think is going to be a path for success. I don't think Clemson needs to take a ton of shots down the field. So, yeah, that's how I think Clemson's going to play it in this game.
Absolutely. All right. So. Let's shift gears to the FSU offense, right? So pass offense, they're number 1 in the ACC, 14.4 yards per pass attempt, right? Run offense, 2nd in the ACC. They got 204 yards per game. They got some big-time receivers, man. They got that Johnny Wilson, 6'7", big body receiver, right? Kind of a mix match when it comes to most DBs. I mean, he's obviously going to be the bigger body out there. But they got Johnny Wilson, the other Wilson guy. I can't remember his first name right now.
His name's Ontario, but they call him Pokey Wilson. He's been there a long time.
And then Pittman, right?
Micah Pittman, the transfer from Oregon.
So those 3 have combined for like 60 receptions and 11 of their touchdowns this season. So that's a three-headed monster there on the receiving side of the ball. But one of the things that I think Clemson could do is Clemson could make them very one-dimensional, right? Clemson's run defense is absolutely amazing. I know, FSU comes into the game as 2nd in the ACC when it comes to rushing yards per game, but Clemson comes in at only allowing 62.7 yards per game on the ground. They are absolute nightmare when it comes to the running game. And if Clemson can make FSU one-dimensional and Wes Goodman can really start dialing up that pressure and letting those dogs eat on defense, we're getting much healthier on defense, right? So some of the people that we're getting back, right? I think Mickens will be back. Makuba we got Brzee, we got XT, who made his debut.
Malcolm Green is back in the secondary as well.
Malcolm Green will be back. XT made his debut last game against Boston College, only played 6 snaps, got MVP and 2 sacks.
Yeah.
Like, who's only played 6 snaps in a game and got MVP of the game? I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah,
maybe it has.
That's got to be the lowest.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's ever happened before. So as Clemson's defense is getting healthier, I look for us to take steps. And our defense has played well, even when it hasn't been necessarily healthy. Now, granted, we've had some hiccups on the back end, well documented, right? especially against Wake Forest, especially against Furman, teams like that, right? It's well documented. We've had some struggles, but we're starting to get healthy. We're starting to get those first rotation guys back, along with the younger guys have kind of grown up a little bit, right, on the defensive side of the ball. So I look for FSU's offense to really struggle putting drives together against this Clemson defense, especially if they can't lean on the run like like they tend to like to do, right? Like the FSU likes to run the ball. They're already out Ward, right? Their leading rusher
It seems like
seems to be like he's playing. Maybe he will play.
Yeah.
But obviously, even if he does play, obviously he's not going to be 100% healthy. Clemson's got a suffocating run defense, and their secondary is getting healthy. So I look for Clemson's defense to kind of have a big game. What do you think? Kind of that dynamic between the FSU offense and Clemson defense will be.
I mean, yeah, you summed it up really well. To the run defense point, it's especially important knowing that, Florida State also, I mentioned they had some injuries up front on the defensive side of the ball, but they also have some injuries on the offensive side of the ball, particularly in the offensive line. And, they're starting they're starting a couple of guys they really didn't want to have to start this year on that line due to some injuries, due to, Caden Lyles, and I'm blanking on the other one. I know Robert Scott for them has been in and out of the lineup. Darius Washington, their left tackle, is a little dinged up, but I think he's going to play. So it's going to be really important, I think, for this Clemson defense to really just pin their ears back, and because I think this is the biggest mismatch in the game. Florida State's offensive line has played well, compared to previous years. But they're still not they're still not a great unit, and they're not very deep. And when you have the injuries that they've had, I think that does not bode well for them, especially considering the guys that Clemson is getting back up front. So just I agree. I think Florida State, their best shot is they're going to have to air it out some. And I don't really, Jordan Travis has improved as a passer, certainly a huge improvement, but I would much rather him have to throw the ball than him, scramble or Florida State get their run game going. And so I think this Clemson defense is going to be really aggressive. Wes Goodwin doesn't like to just drop guys into coverage. I mean, he probably could afford to do it with how good the front is, but I do think he's going to be aggressive in this game and really get Travis to, rattled early. I guess another point, I do know that Florida State is getting Ja'Kai Douglas back. He's kind of a running back, wide receiver hybrid type player. He's a really, really speedy guy. Could be a guy that they try to get out in space. And so I think that's another. You mentioned the wide receivers, but I think they have to account for them as well. And obviously they still have Lawrence Toafili and Trey Benson in the running back room who are capable. So just containing those guys is going to be huge. But I certainly think Clemson's defense is more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Limiting the run game, I think, is going to be key. Especially like you mentioned, they have some serviceable people behind Ward for sure. Two guys particularly that are very serviceable and can get the job done if he's not 100% or if he's not ready to go at all, right? But one of the things I'm really excited about is this is one of the few times that I think all of Clemson's defensive linemen will be ready to go for this game, right?
Yeah.
You got XT, you got KJ Henry, you got Justin Maskell, you got
Tyler Davis, Brian Brzee,
Brian Brzee, Ruka Roro, Trey Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on for the Clemson defensive line, right? But you also got Barrett Carter. You also got Trenton Simpson. You also got
Jeremiah Trotter.
That front seven, I mean, that's tough. That's tough to deal with, especially when you're not exactly set when it comes to Florida State on the offensive line. I think Wes Goodwin could really throw some looks at them that they're not ready for. And I think that the young dudes in the back end have grown up enough that he could take some risk early in this game and try to really rattle the Florida State offense and really get them off schedule. Maybe he does that, maybe he doesn't, but especially with getting healthy in the back end, I think we can afford to take some of those chances a little more than maybe we have been able to in the past. But we've already kind of got into some of the injuries and things like that in as far as Clemson and Florida State. Is there any other key injuries out for Florida State this week that you know of, other than Ward and the ones we've already mentioned on the defensive side of the ball?
I think they're mostly good to go. I think one of their linebackers, Amari Gaynor, I think he's a scratch, but he might play. He might play in this game. But all in all, I think they're for the most part healthy in the back seven. And I think they have some really solid DBs, especially. But I do think that the injuries they've had up front and on the defensive line are going to make it pretty easy for this Clemson offense to get the run game going. And then obviously the injuries I mentioned on the offensive line have made some guys have to play that shouldn't. I especially think on the right side of that offensive line. I think I think Clemson's defense is really going to try and attack that side of the line because ironically at right tackle they're starting a South Carolina transfer, Jazz Turrentine, who has he was kind of a late addition for Florida State in the offseason. He was not a starter at he was a starter at South Carolina and got benched. So that that South Carolina offensive line was not good last year. So that tells you all you need to know about and just watching that NC State game. Their offensive line really gave up a lot of pressure when NC State wasn't even sending a lot of guys. They got pressure with three a lot. So I think really attacking, especially that right side, I think is something that the Clemson defense will be able to do very well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the special teams a little bit. Last phase of the game, right? Clemson special teams versus Florida State special teams. So Clemson, obviously, we have a dynamic field goal kicker in BT Potter, right? The dude rarely misses. He is human, confirmed, because he has missed 2 kicks this season. Although I don't fault him for any of those. The dude is nothing but consistent. He's got a leg and a half on him. We have been able to block some kicks this year, so that's been good. Our punting has not been great.
No.
Swanson.
That's the thing I'm worried about in this game.
I'm really worried about the field position game in this, or the field position battle in this game, especially early. If it starts to get close, or if it starts to go score for score early, which I don't expect it to do, but if that starts happening, I start worrying about the field position battle, because we do not have a weapon at punter. We have a dud at punter that occasionally hits a good ball every now and then. Yeah. That's just my opinion. I mean, Swanson, every now and then he hits a good kick, but the dude's normal kick from time to time is absolutely horrible, in my opinion. And then we got some issues on punt return, right? Yeah. Will Taylor, it hasn't been good. No. Do you think we will see a change at punt returner this week? And if we do, who do you see back there?
Well, in the preliminary depth chart for this game, a big change was noticed that Will Taylor and Antonio Williams are now listed as co-starters for the kick returning duties. So. Yeah. Dabo said after the Boston College game that position was going to be reevaluated during the week, and it does seem like that we're going to see a little bit more Antonio Williams in the return game. And I hate it for Will Taylor, but I just, he's still coming off of an ACL injury. It doesn't look like he has kind of the quickness that he had as a freshman before the injury. Still maybe kind of working his way back, but it's scary, man. It's just every time, the opposing team punts and you just, are they going to muff it? Is the return team going to run into him? It's just too much. And I think Antonio Williams is just more dynamic as a returner. So I think you're going to see more of that because I feel confident about Clemson, how they match up in this game. But, if there's one area that they can give Florida State help is by making mistakes in special teams. And, the field position battle, as you mentioned, if you give Florida State short fields, well, you're put, as great as our defense is, there's only so much you can do when you give a team short field.
Yeah, they can only do so much.
Right.
The one thing I worry about with the special teams is Antonio Williams being at the punt return. Not because I doubt his ability in any way, shape, or form. I do not. I think he is a dynamic punt returner. I think he will get the job done, and I think he'll do great. I worry about the injury factor. I think we need Antonio Williams way more at wide receiver than we need him at punt return. I would rather fair catch every punt return from now until kingdom come than see him get hurt on a play like that. But I understand
back there. I don't.
Yeah, I understand you have to put the guys out there that you trust. And sometimes those are your starting guys. So I get it, but it gives me anxiety, man. If I'm being honest, it gives me anxiety. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I hope that that we get out of that unscathed. I do think that Will Taylor maybe needs to take a step back in that role and kind of maybe gain some more confidence. Maybe that's via practice or something else, but it's just too many miscues on the punt return have happened.
Yeah.
For us to continue to do what we've been doing and expect different results, right? So that's kind of the matchup with special teams. So what do you think overall with the matchup? What do you I think we have. So I'll give my take, right? So I think our offense has the advantage because we can run the ball, right? I think we could really give them a heavy dose of the run. I think although our offensive line is not, one of the best in the country, I wouldn't say they were, but they have really grown throughout the season. And that's one thing that I can say for this entire Clemson team is you continue to see growth from Clemson throughout the season. And that's what's important, right? The idea is not to peak in September. The idea is to peak when championships come, right? So we have continued to get better throughout this season. I think our offensive line has started to get better. I think they've gained confidence. Our running game is doing well. Our running defense is second to none, in my opinion. I mean, we absolutely stifle any running game out there. And if you can make a team one-dimensional on offense, when you got these dudes that we got at defensive line, it's really easy to tee off on a quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think Clemson has the advantage in this game by far. So before we get into the line, you got anything else, Jordan? Before we got into the line, I was going to get to a few comments and see what everybody's talking about in the comment section. But you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up really well. I think Clemson has the advantage here, and especially so considering, some of the deficiencies that Florida State has on the injury front. I think, just taking care of the ball. Don't do anything to give Florida State help. I think that's just the biggest thing.
Don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over.
DJ, don't try to be a hero. Don't do anything stupid. Run the ball to set up the pass. And run the ball first, set up the pass second.
And
got a good pass defense.
Certainly take the shots when they're there, but just get the ball to the playmakers. Whether it's in the run game, Making sure Hunter Goatfro in the comments, he's kind of going where I was going. I think Antonio Williams could be a nice weapon in this game, just because of his ability and the short yardage and short area quickness and all of that.
Yep.
I don't want Clemson to just be ultra conservative. I obviously want them to take shots when they're there, but don't force the issue. Don't turn the ball over. And I think Clemson's going to move the ball on this Florida State defense. Is just finish your drives, which they've done a really good job of this year, one of the best in the country when they cross the 50. So just put those sustained drives, and on defense just be dominant. That's all I can say. Just be dominant. And then with special teams, obviously BT, I trust BT in this situation. And as far as punting goes, if Clemson moves the ball well enough, punting shouldn't be an issue too much. So just and then in the return game and all that, just catch your punts and make sure the offense gets a chance at the ball.
And blockers, please don't run into the frickin' punters anymore, dude.
Yes,
come on.
Yeah. Please stop running into our returners.
Running into the kick returners. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard.
Yeah.
But, I don't
we throw walk-ons out there and they just –
I don't play D1 college football, so, It is what it is. All right. Let's go to the comments, Jordan, and let's talk to some people in the chat. I'm going to go up to the top. Let's see. John Sarin gets in. Is Ward still out for FSU? Yes, I believe so, man. I believe he is.
It doesn't look like
he's
in
the air.
Play, but
maybe it's a game time decision. Who really knows at this point? But it does look like he will be out. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's go back. Sorry, I lost my place. My bad. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I'll get my life together. Don't worry. I'm a expert and a professional. Don't worry. Past all this. Sorry. Web Security gets in, says, I think the offense improving by the week. Just as a function of being a young growing unit. Defense issues was players out and most are backups. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, the offense is, had some growing, to do, but they've grown a lot from the Georgia Tech game. And then obviously defense and I do think there's been some growth from the defense, not just because of, having guys back. I think Wes Goodwin has become more comfortable in his roles. I do think, we talk a lot about the players having to grow, but obviously having new coordinators that have not done this at this, Brandon Streeter had offensive coordinator experience at Richmond, but it's not the same as being at a big time Power 5 school. And then obviously this is Wes Goodwin's first, defensive coordinator job. So I do think there were some growing pains there. And I think you're seeing both of them get more comfortable in their roles, especially Wes. I think he learned a lot from that Wake game. And
yeah, I think he learned a ton. Yeah.
He's learned a lot. I think he's learned a lot as far as his play calling goes, how he,
and how good is it to see somebody like that? Wes came in, he took over for Brent Venables, which is, I mean, I wouldn't want to take over for somebody like Brent Venables, right? That's big shoes to fill. And he came in with, kind of all this hype about being kind of a defensive mastermind and all this kind of stuff. And, a lot of things went wrong in that Wake. And then to his credit, he looked at the film and he fixed it.
Yeah.
He he didn't dig his heels in and be like, this is how we're going to do it. And if, they need to execute better and blah, 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 blah. He really went in and kind of changed some things and really got the defense playing better. So much respect to Wes Goodwin, man.
Yeah, and I think he's learned how to. I think he's learning how to coach. I mean, he said in his press conference that just one of the things that he's worked on these last couple of weeks is just being more demanding of the players. Because as the defensive coordinator, you've got to. I mean, you can't be their friend, and
right.
He's learning to have the kind of intensity, whether it's practice, whether it's in the game, of knowing that you're the man in charge now, and just expect having high expectations for your players, demanding it out of them, and just having that attitude. I think is something that he's done a lot more of. I think in that Boston College game, especially when they were making plays, like that was the most exciting. Like just seeing him, he was like practically on the field at times.
Absolutely.
And so just being more intense and just excited, I think has been really, really cool to see. Just opening up a little bit more. And I think he's doing that a lot better. And you're seeing the results on the field.
Absolutely, man. It's been, Web Security gets in and says, I've been to Duke and Wake. And in both cases, it was about half Clemson fans. Clemson fans travel pretty well, man. We do pretty well.
When's the last time we played? When's the last time we played Duke? Someone tell me. We played Duke in 18, right? I think we did. I think that might have been the last time.
I think so. I think you're right. I'm trying to think. I got a terrible memory, man. So I believe so. I think we did. If DJU plays clean, it's a rout.
Yeah.
I think it definitely could be.
Yeah.
We'll get into our picks, both me and Jordan, right before we get off the air. We'll get into our score prediction. We'll get you a pick against the spread, and then we'll get you an over/under pick as well. But I could definitely see it being a route if things go Clemson's way. Playing in Raleigh was a primer for playing in Doak. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, back last year that was a I mean, that was a rowdy environment, but Doak it's the second largest stadium in the conference behind Clemson.
Yeah, Doak's
definitely
they're definitely rowdy. They're going to be jacked up for this game. They haven't beat Clemson. Clemson's on a 6-game winning streak.
Yep.
They're not trying to lose 7 in a row to Clemson. Definitely not at home.
They have a lot of big time recruits this weekend too.
I'm sure they do. It's going to be a crazy environment, and I hope we just
one of which was recently up until yesterday was committed to Clemson.
Our current decommit.
Yeah, he'll be there as well. So
he can see us splatter his new team all over the face of the earth. Good luck, brother. It's all good. It's all good.
His decision.
He can go where he wants. I'm not. It's all good, man. Doak has close to 40,000 more fans than Wake. Yeah, Wake's a small stadium.
Doak holds about 80K. I think it's like 79K. It's about as big. It's like slightly smaller than Clemson.
Yeah. I think Clemson's 85.
We've gotten up to 85. I think the official is like 82.
Oh, okay.
82,500, something like that. But yeah.
Guys, if we can win this, check this out. The final 6 weeks of the season, Clemson has 4 home games, 1 bye, 1 road. That's a crazy good setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that would look.
You get Syracuse and you get Syracuse at home, then you get the bye week
at home.
And then you do have to travel to Notre Dame, but then you've got Louisville at home and South Carolina, Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina at home.
Absolutely.
So that's big.
TK gets in, says Clemson is winning this game. The line only dropped because so many people took FSU at 7.5. You got to understand how Vegas works to understand how the line works.
Well, you understand how it works, but that's not a.
That's
the
not
line
a
doesn't
normal
drop
thing.
that much.
That's not a normal thing that happens, and don't get too much into it because I want to talk about the line before we get into our picks, Jordan.
Right.
So we'll save this. DK, we'll talk about this when we get through all our comments. Okay, so just stand by. We're gonna get into this line thing, both me and Jordan. So just stand by. Let us get through the rest of our comments, and then we'll talk about it to wrap up the show. Okay. Yeah. FSU lost to NC, and they don't have their starting QB.
Yeah, NC State. Yeah.
NC State didn't have their start. Yeah. Yep.
All true. They blew that game.
They definitely blew that game. They've disappeared in the second half.
Yeah.
Disappeared completely. They could have won that game easily. I don't know what happened. The only thing that has me more concerned is the betting guy, Mark, always has a guest. Has the game near a pick'em in his computers. He's usually good. I don't know who that is.
I do. He's a guy that like
betting guy Mark.
Yeah, I think they on this channel. I think Mark uploaded his conversation with him about his picks for that game.
Yeah.
But I part of me thinks that I don't think Vegas has Clemson properly rated. But I mean, obviously from a Clemson fan perspective, that's easier to say, and I think that's part of the reason why this line is as tight as it is.
Right.
But because I believe in some computers they have Clemson. Clemson is obviously ranked 4th, but in some power rankings they have Clemson at like I've seen Clemson as low as like 13th. From a power rankings perspective, and I don't think there's 12 teams in college football that I would take over Clemson right now. But that's
I don't think so either. But hey, it
is what it is.
It is what it is, right? It'll all take care of itself at the end. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
FSU speed is what will pose a problem for those wide receiver screen. Need to go downfield, not sideline to sideline. I think we should focus on the run in order to set up the pass. We kind of already went into that. But I don't think FSU defense can stop our running game if we really commit to it. And if we truly commit to our running game early, I think we'll hit quite a few big passing plays as the game goes on and as the defense gives us the looks that we'll be looking for. Clemson is number 1 in the red zone. Yeah, we're pretty good in the red zone.
They've scored every time.
Every single time we go to the red zone, we score. Yeah. Whether that be a field goal or a touchdown, we put points on the board, and points are the name of the game at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So if we need to run that much, we need Maffa to have a good game as well. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
we'll see plenty of Maffa in this game.
Absolutely. I think we see I hope we see a heavy dose of Maffa and Shipley in this game. Shipley's obviously more explosive, but Maffa's obviously got a little bit more power. So I hope we see a heavy dose of both. And then, I hope we see a lot more tight end play this game than we saw against BC. I think we threw way too much screens and throws to the wide receivers and didn't get the tight ends involved as much as they needed to be against BC. And, maybe that was some of the reason for some of the offensive sputters against BC. But, hopefully we get back to using those big body tight ends against FSU. Clemson gets over midfield, and the odds of scoring are very high. Yeah. Johnny No Hands Wilson. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's not completely wrong. I mean, and listen, Johnny Wilson, he's very physically gifted kid. Coming, he was really high. I remember he was highly rated coming out. But the biggest knock against him was his hands, and when he was at Arizona State, that was an issue. I think he's played well this year. He really showed out in that Louisville game. But he's still good for an occasional drop. On some, he had a couple. He had one or two critical ones in the NC State game last week. Right. So, but I do think he's a guy you can't let. You still got to respect him. You can't let him get over the top on you, because there's not a
physically he's a problem.
Yeah.
I get it. He drops some balls, but physically he is a problem. So,
yeah, he's a good player. So having just you gotta respect that.
With the expectation of Jay Wilson's height, FSU receivers are not as good as Wake Forest. I agree.
Yeah,
those Wake Forest receivers are something special. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. No, I said before, I said Clemson won't face another wide receiver room as good as Wake's for the rest of the regular season, at least. If they play, and I don't, honestly, if they don't play Ohio State at all at any point this year, then they won't face another one as good as Wake's. Wake has a legitimate wide receiver, NFL wide receiver room.
Yep. Let's see. DK gets in, says, with a healthy defense and the playbook, our offense can run. FSU isn't winning this game. Stop naming stats when Clemson is 2-0 in common opponents, and FSU is
meant to say 0-2.
0-2, yeah. Plus, FSU got to play those teams. Yes, I understand, but common opponents is not always
an indicator, right?
An indicator of whether you're going to win or lose a game. I do look. We both believe here that Clemson's going to win this game. We're not going to sit here and pretend like we don't think Clemson's going to win this game. I think it's a mismatch. Oh my goodness, mismatch. It's a mismatch on the offensive line, right? Our defensive line is absolutely going to stop them from running the ball, I believe, and that's what FSU wants to do. I think they want to run the ball and they want to take their shots when they can. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. So I think they'll become one-dimensional pretty quickly because of that. So, but just because we beat Wake Forest in North Carolina State and Wake Forest and North Carolina State beat FSU does not mean we will win the game. So
right. Transitive property does not exist.
Doesn't work in college football for whatever reason. Who knows?
Football's all about matchups.
We always say,
yeah.
Anything can happen on any given Saturday on a college football field. It's just sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it's the way that college football goes, and that's why we all love to watch it, right? Because it's just
you never know
how it goes, man. Travis is not very accurate from the pocket. His percentage increase when he scrambles. Need to control rush by the defensive line and contain the edge. Force Travis to pass from the pocket. Interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know he's got a higher percentage outside of the pocket than he does in. So that's
I don't have the stats, and I don't have those stats in front of me. I can't verify that, but that does. I mean, it sounds right. Travis is a very just watching him play, he's a very accurate thrower on the run and in scramble drills. Yeah. But keeping contained is going to be huge because he's going to have to scramble in this game. He's not going to be able to just sit in the pocket all day. So staying in containing him is going to be huge. They in the run game they don't use him in designed runs as much as they did last year, and I think part of that just has to do with, he's a lot more capable as a passer than he was. And they're a little bit better at receiver than they were last year, and they can have a more traditional passing game. But he will scramble if you let him. So just keep him contained. I don't think Clemson has to worry too much about design quarterback runs. That's not really.
No, I don't think so at all.
They'll do it a couple of times, I'm sure, because obviously they're playing at that good of a defense. They're going to have some wrinkles and some stuff they haven't shown. But their tendencies say they don't typically use Travis in design run situations. Although they certainly could. He's a very athletic.
Sure, they absolutely could.
He's tough.
Yeah.
To
to Big Mac's point, don't over pursue. But our coaches know that. If that stat is true, like I said, we don't know. We don't have that particular stat in front of us. So, but if that's true, I'm sure our coaching staff, especially our defensive side of the ball, definitely knows that. They're going to coach them up. They're going to tell them don't over pursue, don't let them get outside the pocket, condense them inside of that pocket and make them fall from within. Right. Common opponents don't mean ish. Yeah. For the most part, they don't. We had 3 DBs out against Wake. Yes, we did. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but yes, we did. Our secondary was completely in dismay in that game. I can't listen to people that don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about us or not.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
We apologize.
No, I'm just kidding.
I felt like we did. I felt like we were doing pretty good.
I hope you're not talking about us, but if you are, we'll try to. We'll try to get more educated.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. If you dominate the line of scrimmage, both sides, the rest almost becomes moot. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
It's a game in the trenches. Yeah.
It's all about the trenches, always and forever. This is football. It's never going to change. Not concerned about Clemson's corners. I think they have grown quite a bit. We could see some advanced schemes against FSU. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you, Big Mac. I think our secondary has grown quite a bit. And not only that, on top of that, we're getting healthy on both the defensive line and the back end of the defense. So we're getting some of those familiar faces back from early in the season that we were missing when we got, quote unquote, exposed. Yeah. So
in a game we won.
Let's see how it goes for the Seminole man. Let's see. Benson and Toffai. We mostly stopped by Pack. If they can, we surely can. Yeah. Definitely think our defense is better than North Carolina State's defense. That's
especially up front.
Yeah, especially up front. So if they can hold them, you're right. So can we. They ran for over 200 yards, 7 yards a carry.
Not them. Benson and Toafili certainly didn't. Jordan Travis had 100 rushing yards by himself in that game.
And he had over 100, right?
I think he had 100. He only scrambled, I think, 7 times. But I know he broke off one long one, which
it was like
a lot of his yardage.
Yeah, it was like 7 rushes for like 120 yards or something like that. It was crazy.
But he had a good game, but it was a lot of it was off of one chunk run. But
it was a big run.
It wasn't a part of and I don't think it was off script. I think.
I don't think it was indicative of the whole game as far as rushing. So they had to run Travis to get any ground.
Right.
Either Benson or Toffoli could move 3 yards. So
NC State's run defense is really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. So what, Jordan? Not going to run against Clemson. We never said they were.
I didn't say that. Yeah.
We'll give them their props as far as they got talented players too, but make no mistake, we don't think they're going to have any success, at least consistency against running against Clemson. Now anybody can break a run, here or there, but as far as them lining up and just running the ball against Clemson, no one out there in their right mind thinks that's going to happen.
Right. And, I credit Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell, I think, is a good play caller. He's good at he can dial up some explosive plays, but this is a different animal from any team he's faced so far as defense is concerned. Clemson just does not give up big runs. So it's going to be tough in that aspect.
Yeah. Hunter gets in, says Antonio Williams needs to be our returner. I think he'll be a great returner, Hunter, but I worry about health, man. We need him.
Edward was talking about Jordan Travis, not me. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, Edward.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. We didn't think you were talking about Jordan Bowman, but
just wasn't sure.
Yeah, we're reading these comments after you guys already leave them.
Yeah, we lose some of the context.
Yeah, we lose some of the context, so we apologize. But I like to go through at the end of every show and make sure your guys' comments get at least addressed by us in some sense. So if we're taking them out of context, we apologize. That's not our intent. Our intent is to just respond to what you guys are saying while we're talking about the games. Webb gets in, says if Dion wasn't important enough to avoid state
special teams, I think,
or special teams, excuse me. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that. Then
zero isn't. Yeah, Antonio. Yeah, on Antonio. Yeah, so Deion Sanders was a bit. Obviously he returned punts at Florida State. We know how great he was. So and I think that's a good point. I think especially since if a big complaint of Clemson fans is not being able to generate a ton of big returns. We haven't done it in a while. If you guys want to see that, then you got to put your most dynamic playmakers back.
You do. But I just, I worry about injuries, man. I know
we've been bit by the injury bug,
especially coming off of last season.
The
last thing I want is a dynamic wide receiver and a sure-handed wide receiver like Antonio Williams getting injured on a special teams play. Trying to make a big play. But I get it. Look, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. Edward gets in. But you can't baby player because you like them. I understand.
Sure.
You are correct. This is football.
Hey, Antonio's a tough kid.
Injuries happen.
Yeah.
You are correct, Edward. I am way too sensitive. I apologize. Seriously. I should probably be less worried about the injuries, but coming off of last year where we were just absolutely dismayed about injuries, and then the defensive side of the ball this season, early on, we kind of got, bit by that same injury bug. It's just kind of one of those things. But I understand what you're saying. You can't baby players. Look, if injuries are going to happen, they're going to happen, and you're 100% correct about that. Put the best catcher back there and fair catch.
I mean, that's another way to do it. It's to ensure your offense gets on the field. That's the best way to do it. So
let that offense get out there and cook, man.
Yeah,
let DJ do his thing. Let Will Shipley do his thing. Phil Maffa, Bo Collins, Antonio Witt, let them get out there and cook. I like it. Or just make it flag football. How about that?
Good idea. Well, with some of these roughing the passers penalties we've seen the past couple of weeks in the college football and in the NFL, it is turning.
The NFL might be worse.
Yeah, no, it is worse.
Don't touch Tom Brady, okay?
Don't touch Tom Brady.
He's a delicate
especially you, Grady Jarrett.
Yeah. Poor JD Grant, man. That was, Oh well. No, let's not make it flag football. That's not what I'm saying, web security. Don't do me like that, bro. Come on now. I'm not saying flag football. I just want Clemson to, get to the playoffs healthy.
Yeah.
But,
Same
maybe
here.
you're right. I'm being too sensitive. I got it. I'll man up. Okay. I got it. Chat section. Okay. I got it. Put Antonio Williams back there so we can get some returns for touchdowns. All right.
There we go.
I'm on the bandwagon now. Let's do it. I done got out of my slump there, whatever that was. I don't know who that was.
You were just in your feelings a little bit.
Yeah, that dude's in the past. He was in his feelings. Yeah, we don't put him to bed. All right, I got it. We win, we dance. Absolutely, always. We win, we dance. Clemson needs to stop running our own man into the catcher. That would also be nice. Yeah. Blockers need to stop running into the returner. Yes. That That would absolutely be nice, Edward.
Yeah.
We agree. Bible Belt Beauties. Hey, what's up, Bible Belt Beauties? Thank you for
My
getting
man
in.
right there.
Appreciate you getting in, man. Always welcome here. Appreciate you. Antonio
good people.
Williams. Yeah, he is good people. He's really good people. Antonio Williams needs at least 10 touches per game. Dude is too dynamic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He absolutely is. Hey, Hunter, what's up with running in Devontae Adams? What's going on with that?
Yeah. You need to chill out. Well, honestly, I think that was Devontae's fault.
Yeah.
He
Tell
got
Devontae,
bodied by the
hey,
DB.
tell Devontae to get some clean releases so you can
Right.
get into the flat and catch the ball because that ball was coming to you. Tell him to get out of your way, bro.
Yeah. Just push him out. You push him harder next time.
Yeah, just push him out of the way, bro. Don't let him run over you like that.
Yeah.
The tight ends will be eating on Saturday. Hey, we can only hope, man.
Yep.
I hope so. If the tight ends are eating on Saturday, hey, that means it's a good day for Clemson. I can promise you that. Just let the ball roll down. Even try to catch it. He's saying just let the ball go. Don't even put a returner back there. Just let it go.
Yeah.
We'll see. Bring back the jet sweeps with Antonio.
Maybe. I don't want us to get too cute though.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to force feed Antonio Williams the ball. Get it to him organically. You create those opportunities. Don't force them because then that's how the offense gets predictable.
Hunter gets in and says, yes, Christian, talking about the tight ends will feast. Absolutely. I think the young kids might be playing Green out of playing time. He was full go last week, and he didn't get a snap. So I don't know.
I don't know. It might have. I don't know. Maybe it could have been. I don't think that's the case.
I don't know.
Possibly, but I don't know.
Green's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, when he was in, he played well. Yeah, he's been.
So I don't.
It's not like it's not a Fred Davis situation where he just flat out got benched.
Right. But Fred got benched. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Malcolm Green got sidelined because of injuries. So we'll see. But hey, Wes has called one bad game. The BC game was one of his best. He learned fast. It does seem that he learned fast. Absolutely. It does seem that he's able to make adjustments. He's able to see what's going on and really put the guys in a position to win. So that's all you want to see from your coordinators, right? Put your guys in the right position and then players execute. Green was just not 100% and was there if needed. That's what I would think sounds more realistic is that they kind of had him there if they needed him, but if they didn't need him, they were going to hold him. That sounds like something Dabo does a lot.
Yeah.
He kind of brings guys and he's like, hey, if I need you, you're going in. If not, we're going to try to hold you.
Right.
I honestly don't see FSU being able to score or move the ball outside of maybe Jordan Travis running around like a God dang.
I love the similes. Those are great. I like it. That's good. Yeah. But I do think that's the thing that scares me the most is that Clemson hasn't faced a quarterback as mobile as Jordan Travis. So making sure you're ready for that. I mean, I'm sure that that's something that's been discussed. It's not the first time Clemson has played Jordan Travis. Played him last year. Yeah. So we know what he can do on the ground. So just don't let him, break one loose on you. Try to keep that in check.
Dabo said Malcolm Green was 100% last week in the presser.
What, before the BC game?
I guess that's what he's saying. He said, I trust Dabo over you. Yeah, you probably should. That's a good call, Edward. You should definitely trust Dabo over both me and Jordan.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty smart, but we're not that smart.
Yeah, and we don't.
I don't get paid
in practice.
I don't get paid $10 million a year to coach a team. So
right.
You should definitely trust Dabo over me. At Doak is no picnic.
Nope, it's not.
Definitely not.
Tough environment.
Tough. Regardless, it's a tough environment. The second down play calling has really been lacking. We are consistently third and long because of bad second down call. Just rewatched and see how many 3rd and 8s we have. Yes, we have had a lot of 3rd and longs. The one thing saving us is we are converting a lot of those.
Yeah. Team has more or less been really good on 3rd down. So that's
we've
good.
been really good on 3rd down, but you are correct. We have not been as good on 1st and 2nd down. But we are converting the 3rd down. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we can start, producing a little bit more and get in some 3rd and short situations where you can kind of have some more plays available to you to get that first down. Travis throwing for 300 plus and running for 100 plus.
Oh my God, do we actually have an FSU fan? Awesome.
Yo,
let's go. That's
hey,
awesome.
FSU fan, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate it.
I hope he doesn't do that, but
good to see some FSU in the house.
Yeah.
But I promise you, I'm gonna cry if Travis throws for 300 plus and runs for 100
we probably didn't have a very good day.
I'm gonna cry. We'll still be here on the post game show, but we're not gonna be happy about that. So if you are correct, please show up and ridicule us. It'll be great.
That'd be one of the worst things.
It'll be a great show for you.
Have we had a quarterback throw for 300 and rush for 100 on us?
I don't know.
I mean, that's probably not. That's a very rare. That's really tough to do against anybody. But
did Lamar Jackson ever do it?
I don't think Lamar. I think
back
Lamar,
in the day, like when we had those, because we had some pretty good spats with Louisville back when Lamar Jackson was there.
But I mean,
I don't know if he ever went for those
2 years. The 2 years he started.
Yeah.
Well, the first, obviously the classic in Death Valley in 2016. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he get to 100 rushing yards? He might have. I'm
not sure.
I think he might have gotten to 100 rushing yards, but I don't think he got to 300 passing. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know.
Somebody in the chat can probably look it up and
they'll tell us. Edward says keep dreaming.
Guess,
he said keep dreaming to the Noel man.
Yeah.
He said keep dreaming, Noel man. Ain't gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen against our defense. And if it does, then we're going to come on here and have a lot to say about how our defense performed. The state of Florida breeds delusional. Yes, it does, Hunter, Edward says.
Yeah.
We agree as well. We will see either Keith or Dominique in this game.
I think Dominique is the one that's listed as the 3rd string running back. So probably him.
Yeah. Edward said Keith is a red shirt, so you're probably
has Keith played in? I guess you could. I think you could still see Keith. Technically, I don't think he's played in 4 games yet. You can spread the 4 games however you want, and that would with how the rule works. So it's possible we could see some Keith Adams, but I don't know. Maybe they're going to save that for I don't know, a less. I don't know if they want to put him in a road environment like that. Maybe get him. When we come back home and play Syracuse, that you might see him some there.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope we see him though. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I have a question. The line has moved 4 points. Is Clemson still a lock?
I don't think it's moved to 4 point. I think he's saying it's moved to 4.
Oh,
I think from like 3.5 or whatever it was, 3.5 to 4. So some money coming in.
Is it at 4 now? I thought it was still at 3.5.
It might.
I think it's at 3.5.
Well, it was at 3.5.
When I logged on to ESPN, they said it was 3.5, but it could be wrong.
I'm seeing -4.5 now.
Okay, so maybe it's gone up in Clemson's favor now.
I mean, which doesn't surprise me. I thought some money would come. People. Yeah, I think it's at -4.5 now. I thought some money would come in on Clemson late in the week. So,
Adam Ross says,
Noles fan.
Go Noles. Another Noles fan in here, man. Hey, we appreciate you coming in. Hey, the only stipulation, come back for the post-game show. Win, lose, or draw, we'll be here. So hopefully you will be here as well. And at the end of the show, you can get your score prediction in when we get ours in. So we'll ask for you guys to get your score predictions in after we give ours. So let's see. Johnny Wilson has a dumb high drop rate for his career. Yeah. Okay.
He does. That's been the knock against him. I mean,
does.
he has like talent wise, like just his physical abilities. He's an NFL receiver. Just being more, his hands have not been very consistent throughout his career. So that's been the big knock on him.
Dabo said he wants to redshirt Keith, but we'll play him 4 games as allowed. Yeah, I heard him say that. He's gonna try to redshirt him as long as they can, as long as nothing crazy happens. Which I don't see there being any scenario where they got to play him more than 4 games if they don't want to.
Yeah. If Phil gets hurt, then maybe.
Maybe. Definitely. If Phil gets hurt, probably. Yeah. But Robin gets in. Robin, Tiger fan, gets in. Says y'all are doing great. Go Tigers. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Rob.
We appreciate you. We do our best here. We're just a bunch of fans like you guys that like to talk Clemson football. So we appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys getting in. No doubt about it. Edward gets in, says, I was talking about Oh yeah, we already talked about that. Yeah. Sorry, I just came back. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for have no fear. Clemson University in the Valley. See you in the Valley is here. Yeah, absolutely. See you in the Valley. Thanks for joining us. Get your score prediction in at the end of the show, man. Is Clemson -4 a safe bet? We'll get into that here shortly.
Yeah.
Cole Turner is faster than Antonio Williams.
I've heard that Cole Turner's got some burners.
I heard.
That might not
maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? But can he catch a kick? So that's the question.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Cole get some playing time. Yeah.
He's probably another redshirt guy, but he'll definitely.
I think so. I don't think you'll see a lot of him this season. I feel like the spread is way too low. What does Vegas know that we don't know? I think Clemson by at least 10, says that guy 13. We'll get into our opinions on the spread here shortly as soon as we get through all the comments here, guys. Tom is tired of seeing Grady after the 3.5 sack in the Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is. Jump on Isaiah Simmons for giving me a concussion too.
Yeah, I remember
Clemson
that.
On Clemson. How
Clemson
dare you,
on
Isaiah?
Clemson. Yeah.
Come on, bro. Don't do my man Renfro like that.
Your teammate, man. How can you do that?
Come on, Isaiah.
You're brothers.
Look, yeah, we're brothers.
You won a national championship together.
Yeah. You guys are bonded for forever.
Yeah. How could you do that?
Yeah. Come on, Isaiah. We love you though. No worries.
Yeah. One of my favorite. Simmons he's one of my favorite defensive players to play at Clemson.
So crazy, just a freak athlete, dude.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Yeah.
Watching that dude fly all over the field is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Now, if only the Cardinals would actually play him more and use him right, that's the big thing.
If only they could. I don't know. Look at a blueprint that was maybe created when he was at his best, and maybe follow that and see what happens. I don't know. Call me crazy. But there's all those NFL people out there that are like, oh, the college game doesn't transfer to the NFL. But 80% of NFL teams are running college.
But you used a top 10 pick on him. Use him like a top 10 pick.
There's a lot of NFL teams out there running college concepts now, but the college game was never going to translate to the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Look no further than Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, all quarterbacks that they said would never translate to the NFL. Look at them now.
Yep. So playing like two of the best in the league right now.
Exactly. So stop it. Spread is manipulated by a few big bettors. Maybe.
I mean,
maybe
in some cases,
you might be on to something. Who knows? Who knows? Clemson has 2 top 15 wins against the same teams that beat FSU. What is the discussion here? The discussion's about the game. Look, the game's played on the field. It's not played on paper. It doesn't matter who we beat and who they lost to. As much as we could look at those games and see how we performed versus how they performed, at the end of the day, we got to line up across FSU on Saturday, and we have to beat them. Yeah. And nothing we did against Wake Forest or North Carolina State helps us when it comes to Saturday night. So that's all we're talking about here. Plus, we just like talking college football. We don't really need a reason. We'll just sit here and talk for no reason. So
yeah, I could go. I could go forever.
Green traveled and was ready if needed, but held out because why play him if he's not 100%? Yeah, I mean, I tend to think the same thing. Yeah. If he's not completely 100% and you don't need him, then, what's the point? You guys should watch Shadow of Death Valley. Dude has amazing videos.
I am a subscriber. He does good stuff.
I am not a subscriber, but I will be.
You should check him out.
I will be right after this show, no doubt.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Really funny. He does a lot of it's pretty unique, like edited like content. He does like hype videos and stuff like that. And,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shadow of Death Valley. Shout out to him. All you guys in the chat, go check him out if you haven't already. I'll be checking him out right after this, and I'll subscribe as well. Sounds like he's got a good channel going on there. So you guys go check him out. I don't think West called a bad game. The calls were just not executed. Goes back to knowing what you have to do on the field. Yeah, I mean, and there was there was a lot of injuries early on. There was some young secondary play, so maybe it wasn't necessarily bad scheme. Maybe it was, it could have been a mixture of both, right? Execution and some bad calls as well. Everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes, but there's no doubt that the Clemson defense has improved since. So
absolutely.
Can't wait to see the healthiest defense take the field on Saturday that has taken the field for Clemson this year so far. So don't underestimate FSU. Their speed can make up for their lack of skill. I don't think anybody here is underestimating FSU, and I don't think anybody on Clemson is going to underestimate FSU. This game is not going to be hard to get up for. This is a very important game, regardless of how down FSU has been in past years. These are the 2 classes of the ACC, and they have been for well over a decade. Yeah. What we've represented the ACC in 10 of the last ACC, 10 of the last 11 ACC championship games.
Yeah,
have been either FSU or Clemson.
Yeah, from 2009 to
2020. Until Wake Forest or until Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Or no, Wake Forest. Yeah, Wake Forest unseeded. Yeah, Clemson and
if we're just talking about the Atlantic,
the
ACC Atlantic, from 2009 to 2020, it was either Clemson or Florida State.
Yeah, I mean they're the class of the ACC, these 2 teams. So I don't think Clemson's going to have any issue getting up for this game whatsoever. Yeah. So yep. We already talked about that. Doke is a joke. Oh, snap. Our boy Smitty getting into the chat says Doke is a joke.
Smitty
will be here for the post game reaction.
Nice.
So you guys can
talking to John there.
Florida State fans that are in the chat, you guys can come troll them if we lose, saying Doke is a joke. John, you need to listen to Dabo because he used 100%.
I don't want to spend any more time on the Malcolm
Green thing. Yeah. Look,
he's going to play.
Malcolm Green's going to play when they feel that he's ready and healthy enough to play, I believe. And
I think,
that's
I mean,
we'll
I
kind of
think you're
leave
going
it
to
there.
see plenty of Malcolm Green this weekend.
Yeah,
I don't think he's been passed up.
I would not be surprised if Malcolm Green runs out there first this weekend.
Yeah.
So
even if he doesn't, I think he's going to be out there. You're going to see him out there enough.
Yep. More stuff talking about Malcolm Green. Hey, we're going to leave that alone, guys. We talked enough about Malcolm Green. Florida State has no chance to cover, says Smitty.
I won't say no chance. I just, if they get, if they get some breaks, but it could happen. But I do feel pretty good about how Clemson matches up in this game.
All right, we got some people going into back and forth between the Malcolm Green thing. Let's see. Lots of folks were betting FSU at -7, so the line moved, ironically, to put more money towards Clemson at -4 or -3.5. Really low spread based on what we know. It is a low spread.
I don't think all of the big movement towards the FSU side was just because a lot of people putting money on FSU. I think there's a little bit more to it than that, because even when there's money put in on one side, it doesn't move that drastically. I don't think that many people were putting that that kind of money on Florida State, but it's speculation. There's a lot of different things that go into how a line is set and how it moves. So, but I guess do you want to go ahead and talk about it now?
Yeah, let's. Yeah, so I think we got through most of the comments. Sorry if we missed your guys' comment. Believe me, it was not on purpose. We try to do the best we can at the end of every show once we get through our breakdown or once we get through the big part of our reaction to get into as much of the comments as we can. So again, if we missed your comment, please don't take it personal. We try to do our best to get to every comment that we can. But for now, we are going to get into our score prediction. But before we get into our score prediction, let's talk about this hyper controversial betting line, if you will. Jordan, it opened up at, I think, 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, I believe it was 6.5.
I think it opened up at 6.5 to begin the week and quickly dropped down to 3.5. What do you think about this line? What did you think about the line opening up, and what did you think about the drastic drop in the line as it happened very quickly, like before Monday? It had dropped. So as soon as the line opened, it drastically dropped by Monday to like 3.5. So what was your reaction to that?
Well, on the initial line, I was like, well, I could see it. You got to think Clemson is on the road. You usually give about 3.5 points ish for home field advantage. So on a neutral field, Vegas thinks Clemson would be, based on that opening line, Clemson would be about a 10-point favorite.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I can see that. But the drop was really drastic in a really short amount of time. Which makes me think it wasn't just purely a bunch of money coming in on Florida State, because usually it doesn't move that fast, unless like just everybody and their mother was betting. Some people speculated that maybe sharps who are professional bettors that that kind of they pick the lines that they like and they put big money on it. That happens sometimes, but I think really it's just I think Vegas doesn't really have Clemson properly rated. That's what I think it is. I think Clemson is just not. Vegas is not as high on the Clemson as and I think it shows in other people's betting numbers in power rankings that I think that just the betting public is not as high on Clemson as maybe the general public is, and I think that played a huge role in the line shifting like that. And so I don't think it's Clemson is going to only win by 3 or 4 points. I do think there's a good chance they win by more than that. especially. And I don't think Vegas really has taken into account the injuries they have, because typically injuries don't influence betting lines unless it's like a quarterback thing. Usually, and I think especially in Florida State's situation where they have injuries at a cluster of different positions on the offensive line and on the defensive line, I don't think Vegas has really, and I don't think Vegas is properly adjusted for that either. And I think that's kind of why this line is kind of funky. But some people are like, what do they know that we don't? I don't think they know something that we don't. I just think they have a different opinion of Clemson than what I think that they should have. But I feel pretty, if I were a bettor, I know some people think, we're like, look at that and be like, oh, this is a sucker's bet. This is going to burn me. But I don't know. If I'm betting this game, I wouldn't overthink it. Clemson -3.5, or now it's at 4.5. And so, which means money's coming in on Clemson. Right. So I think that's probably I think that's the play, and I don't think you should overthink it too much.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Jordan. I'm absolutely with you. To be completely honest, I'm not a well-versed person when it comes to sports gambling at all. Right. This is not.
I don't claim to be either. Like I do it. I do it recreationally and occasionally.
Occasionally,
but I don't put a lot big money on it.
I'll put money on a game, with Bet Now or something like that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't claim to be some sort of, betting genius or know what to. There's people out there that have certain stats that they just look at between two teams and they'll blindly bet the stat regardless of the two teams. Yeah, I don't claim to be that person at all. So to be completely honest, when I saw this line and how it dropped, how it did, I was just like, what? Clemson -3.5 against Florida State? Like, are you serious? Like, to me, that's kind of disrespectful. Like, I know Florida State's better this year. No disrespect to Florida State, but I know they're better this year than a lot of people thought they would be, and that I thought they would be. But at the end of the day, 3.5 is a little disrespectful, I think, especially when you look at the matchup between Clemson's defensive line, their offensive line, their strength being really running the ball and throwing secondly, right? And Clemson's run defense being stifling and being able to possibly make the FSU offense really one-dimensional. And DJ's playing, pretty much out of his mind this season. He's way better than he was. We have a stout running game. They don't have a great running defense. So I think the matchup is just not good for Florida State, and I don't understand the line at all. Yeah. And then, to your point, a lot of people, when they see things like this, they're like, what does Vegas know that we don't know? I don't think Vegas knows a single thing that we don't know. If you look at this matchup, it does not make sense that Florida State wins this game. If Florida State wins this game, it's because Clemson either came out and completely laid an egg, or DJ completely regresses and starts turning the ball over all over the place like he did in 2021, right?
Right.
At the end of that's the only way I see Clemson losing this game. I don't think Florida State can consistently move the ball against Clemson's defense. I don't see that happening. I don't see them being able to generate any sort of consistent run game because nobody has yet against Clemson this season for the most part, right? And our pass defense is much improved. We're getting our defensive backfield a lot more healthy, right? We should have Mickens back. We got Makuba back. Sheridan Jones will be back. Malcolm Green will be back. Brian Berzee's back. XT will be back in a greater volume this game than he was last game. So I honestly don't see the path for Florida State to really put up points that'll be necessary in order to beat Clemson in this game. So I wouldn't overthink it either. I would take Clemson easily in this game without question. I don't think Florida State can keep it within 3 points, 4 points. I don't think they keep it within 7 points, to be completely honest. So that's kind of my thoughts on the spread. I would go with Clemson on the spread without a doubt. What do you think about the over/under at 51?
You see, that's a tough one. I actually
Yeah.
I like the total a lot. You know, I guess if you do the math, the implied score is like a 27-24 type. Well, now it's 4.5, so I guess it's I guess like 27-23 or something ish, 28-23, which I could see, but I don't know. I think Clemson is going to offensively. I think they'll have some moments where they split. I think Florida State's defense will get a couple stops in this game. I don't think Clemson's just going to absolutely just light the scoreboard up. I think that they're a well coached defense. They have some talent. Their linebackers are playing really well. Better than they were last year. They still have some guys to deal with up front, and their DBs are very capable. So, but. I'm gonna say under because I could see like Clemson winning like 30-17 or something like that. I feel pretty. I think Clemson will get into the 30s, but I'm not so sure that Florida State can get into the 20s, if unless they get some stuff to go their way. So I think I'm gonna say the under.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go under as well. I think it goes under. The reason that I think it goes under is not because I don't think Clemson will score a fair amount of points in this game. I don't think FSU is going to be able to score consistently. And I think if FSU does score, I think it's going to be some field goals.
Which we didn't even mention. Their field goal kicker is not very good.
And it's not very good, right?
Yeah,
so,
he's not very good. He hasn't been very good this year, at least.
I could definitely see it going under. I'm going to go under the 51. I'm going to go. I'll give my score prediction, and then you can give yours. So I'll give my score prediction. I'm going to go. Let's say 35-13.
So you're going bigger than me.
Yeah. So I'm going to go 35-13. I think maybe they get a couple field goals against the Clemson defense. I think the game's kind of out of hand late, and maybe they get a touchdown score against some backups late in the game to make it 35-13. That's my score prediction. You guys in the chat, go ahead and get in with your score predictions. But before we get to their score predictions, go ahead, Jordan. What's your score prediction? I know you're going with the under. But what's your official score prediction?
Well, I think 30-17, 31-17, something like that. I think that's a very possible score. That's just kind of where I'm feeling. I don't think Clemson's going to light up the scoreboard, but I think they can get to 30 to 35 points, and I don't think Florida State's going to really, I don't think they're going to get into the 20s, especially with their special teams issues, at least at kicker. And I think it's a game that Clemson just, they pull away. It's another game where they pull away. It could be a competitive for a half, but I think Clemson is just going to, I think the defense is going to be overbearing, maybe create some short fields for the offense as well, which they've done, which the defense has been able to do at times this year. And it's been really beneficial. So, and I think Clemson, gets up on them and just kind of rides it out the rest of the way. And so I think 30-17 is kind of where I'm feeling. Take Clemson in the points and take the under. That's how I'm feeling.
All right. All right. Our scores are pretty close. Both taking Clemson. Both taking Clemson pretty comfortably. Let's see. Big Mac gets in, says Clemson by 3 scores.
43-16.
43-16.
I would take that.
So he's taking the over.
Yeah, he's feeling the over. He thinks. I don't think Clemson's offense is going to score 40, but I mean, I think they can.
They absolutely could.
But I'm not betting on it. I think because I do think Florida State's defense is capable, and I think they'll get some stops. I don't think either team is going to play super fast and run a lot of tempo either. So Could be a low possession game, a lower possession game.
Yep. Hunter gets in and says, I could easily see this being a 34-17. So he's kind of on track with you a little bit.
That's right on the total. So he thinks it's going to be a push.
Yeah.
Smitty thinks
Smitty gets in, says it's a big win, right? 41-24. He thinks it's a lot of offense. Big scoring game. Definitely going with the over there. Parker shows his commit date.
I think he's talking about Tamarian Parker.
Yeah.
Clemson defensive end target. I did see that he released his top 4 today too. I think Clemson, Texas A&M, Penn State, and was it Michigan? Someone probably knows that. I know it's Clemson, Penn State, Texas A&M. Not blanking on the other. Maybe it was Florida. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Clemson I think is in the driver's seat there. But I think Parker still has a visit to A&M coming up. So we'll see how that goes. And
better come to Clemson if he knows what's good for him. I'm
sure. Tennessee. It was Tennessee. Okay. I knew it was
Tennessee. Yeah.
I knew Florida was in on him at one point. I couldn't. But Tennessee. Okay. And so I feel good about Clemson's chances right now. We'll see going.
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Smitty gets in and says Jordan Travis will be running for his life. I agree, sir. With the young corners progressing, he will have to take a sack or throw it away. Hopefully we get a lot more sacks this weekend. Clemson will go up big early, and FSU will get some scores on the reserves. That's
if it plays out, I won't be upset if it plays out like that. If Clemson just lights it up early and then just kind of plays it start. I mean, that'd be
blowouts are boring for everybody who isn't the fan base of the team blowing somebody out.
Right. Hey, I will take a blowout every day.
Any day of the week, man.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. I love talking about the epic games that Clemson's played in after they're over, but during them, they're absolutely miserable. Like that first national championship under Dabo Swinney, that was last drive, last second throw. It's tough. Yeah, it's nerve wracking. It's tough going through those games as a fan, but they're fun to talk about afterwards. Russell gets in, says over under is too high. I'm guessing 24-17. Okay, so pretty close game.
Clemson still covers though.
Clemson still covers. FSU offense is better.
Then I guess he meant to say past years. That's probably
past years. Yeah,
they are. Yeah,
they are. Yeah, absolutely, they are better. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Hunter gets in. Travis will be DeAndre Francois without the yards in this game.
Oh man, be a long night for him.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Yeah, that would not end well for FSU. FSU kicker is 3 of 9 on the year.
I knew it was something bad. I knew he was not
bad, dude.
Yeah, that's really awful.
Is bad.
He made like a 40-something yarder at the end of the half against NC State, and they didn't give him a chance to kick it at the end and threw an interception.
They're like out here like not even like kicking. They just won't kick. Period. It's not gonna. Yeah, if it comes down to a kick, sorry for your loss, FSU. It's not gonna work out for you probably. Hunter gets in, says 34-17. So
a lot of us have Florida State scoring 17.
Yeah, a lot of people saying 17. I'm going with 13. All you guys disrespecting our defense like that, I don't appreciate. I'm just kidding.
Well, maybe they scored, but it could be like the NC State game. It was 13 the entire game.
Yeah.
And they scored late.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. FSU defense is almost as good as NC State's.
I think Florida State's defense is decent. I wouldn't put it. I don't think it's that close to NC State's. Yeah. I think NC State is a lot. I think they have better. I think they're more experienced. They have much better against the run, especially. I do think they have both have really capable DBs, but I think NC State's linebackers are really good and separate. Florida State's defensive line, I think, is when healthy is probably a little bit better than NC State's. But I think overall as a unit, I think NC State's defense is I think it's clearly better. I don't think it's that close. I think NC State. Yeah, I think NC State is the best defense, maybe other than Notre Dame. But I don't know. Notre Dame gives up some yards too. But
They do.
NC State's either one or two as far as best defenses Clemson will play in the regular season.
Absolutely. Hunter gets in with a little foretelling here. Says FSU will disappear the rest of the year after this L tomorrow.
Well,
Maybe. They
if
might
losing 3 straight. That's tough.
That's a tough pill to swallow to get beat 3 times straight by the teams that they played, and they're all tough games. So Smitty gets in. Says Clemson will have a fast start after the way the BC game went. I believe so as well. I think Clemson will be up and ready for this game. Hunter gets in and says the FSU fans will disappear.
They'll do that.
Yeah.
They certainly will.
That typically goes with par for the course there. Everyone is entitled to opinion, even if it's wrong. Appreciate that, Smitty.
Yes, that's true, Smitty.
Yes. Clemson's defense will be the big difference in this one, and DJ will play well to lead Clemson to a W in Tallahassee, 31-14.
Definitely can see that.
Is the prediction.
I will take that.
For games, rules, and school drools with Allen. 31-14. I hope you are correct, sir. Notre Dame just lost their best linebacker and captain for the year. That's not good for the Notre Dame man.
Nope.
But yeah, so that's our score prediction. So Jordan got in with a 34-17 final score. I got in with a 35-13.
I said did I say 34 or 31? I think I meant to say 31. I think Hunter's score prediction.
I got you 30-17. 30-17. You want
30-7? Okay, that's more of what I want.
Sorry,
because if it's 34-17, then that's right at the total. I got to stay consistent.
I misread because I'm retarded. It's 30-17 for Jordan Bowman, and it is 35-13 for me, Tiger Paul. So that is our score predictions for this game. Philip gets in with a question. Says, player you are most watching tomorrow?
That is a good question.
Let's go. So let's go defense player you're most watching, and then offensive player you're most watching. You need some time to think? I got mine. So
I think it's got to be. Can I pick 2? I think I'm just going to be watching.
You can pick 2 defensive guys. Yeah,
I think I'm going to be watching XT and Brian Bresee. Just they're the guys coming back.
So I'm with you. I'm with you on XT. XT is the guy I'm watching on defense tomorrow, and then Will Shipley is the guy I'm watching on offense tomorrow. I look for Will Shipley to absolutely put up killer numbers tomorrow. And I look for XT with more snaps to really affect Jordan Travis in the game. So that's my 2. But you can go with 2 defensive guys. Yeah, absolutely.
And then on the I still wanted to do offense. On offense,
all right, yeah.
I'll say Antonio Williams. You said Shipley, so I'll say Antonio Williams.
Antonio Williams.
I do think there's a chance he has a breakout game. I think I don't know if we mentioned this in the preview, but I think that one of their nickel corners is banged up for this game.
Oh, okay.
So if he's playing a lot in the slot, if he's lining up again, that could be a matchup you exploit. I think he could be a guy who gives the FSU defense some trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so those are our players we're watching tomorrow. Hunter gets in, says, DJU, 270 yards, 2 TDs. Shipley and Moffitt each have a touchdown.
I'll take that. That'll be a real nice performance. I'll take it.
We will take it any day of the week. Philip gets in, says 27-21.
All right.
Okay. All right. Pretty close. Sheridan Jones and Will Shipley for Hunter. That's his players that he's watching tomorrow.
Yep, Sheridan Jones, big, most experienced corner in the room, coming back from injury. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
I think that's
absolutely,
a good one.
absolutely. That's a good watch this week. Yeah, guys. I think that'll do it for the show. You got anything else, Jordan? You want to?
Oh man, we've gone for 2 hours, and it doesn't even feel like we've gone for 2 hours.
We crushed this one, man. I think this was one of our better shows, if I do say so myself. Hey, thank you guys for all the activity in the chat. Thank you guys for getting in there, interacting with us. We really appreciate it, man. We could sit here and talk as much as we want, but it would not be the same without our chat section getting in there, getting your guys' opinions, getting your guys' questions, your score predictions, all that kind of stuff. And we really appreciate it. Hey, if you have not already, on your way out, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and that notification bell. It'll notify you every time we go live. Again, we go live twice a week on this channel, every Friday for a preview show. And then we go live directly after each Clemson game to give you our live post-game reaction. And then also, if you guys want to support the channel, links in the description of the video. You can also support us through Super Chat. All those things apply. But again, thank you for joining us. Jordan, if you got anything for the audience, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just kind of piggyback off of what you said. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun doing these pregame and postgame shows. You guys are the reason. Just interacting with other Tiger fans.
It's fun, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah, discussing the Clemson football, whether we're commiserating and complaining together or celebrating. It's great to have you guys in the chat interacting. And it's really what keeps the show going. So, like TPC said, I'm calling you TPC.
Hey, it's all good, brother. I like it.
Like you said, hit that like button, and if hit the notification as well. He already mentioned that we go live every Friday and every Saturday, but make sure you hit that notification just so you know exactly when we go live, especially for the post game. Because you never know, we have those things scheduled, but with the way college football games go nowadays, it could end in 3 hours, or if it goes to overtime, we don't know, all these commercials. So, just hit that notification bell so you know exactly when we go live, and we can discuss the game. But yeah, just thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. And last but not least, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Here's to 7-0. Let's go kick the Noles in their home stadium, Doak Campbell, this weekend.
Damn straight.
Go Tigers.